The U.S. military financed all scientific research into development of directed energy weapons. After several decades of work, real progress was on the horizon and much of the research became classified, or once a breakthrough of some kind was made, the public program was shut down and restarted elsewhere in conditions of absolute secrecy. The published scientific papers that concerned potential weapons and even bioelectric medicine were reduced to a trickle, but occasional information about their existence did emerge. The work of Dr. Alan Sharp, Joseph Sharp, Alan Fry, Jose Delgado, Ross Addy, J. F. Shapitz, Andrei Puharich, Hermann Schwann, Hubertus Strughold, James Lynn, Bill Van Bice, Eldon Bird, Robert Becker, James Lilly, Igor Smirnov, and many others is sufficient evidence of the existence of these weapons. The earliest work on the effects of electromagnetics on humans was done by Nikola Tesla. Doctors Chaffee and Light in 1934 published A Method for Remote Control of Electrical Stimulation of the Nervous System. The same year, Soviet scientist Vasilev wrote Critical Evaluation of the Hypogenic Method. The experiment showed at a distance, mental suggestion to go to sleep was complied with within a minute. The background to the development of anti-personnel electromagnetic weapons can be traced to the early middle 1940s and possibly earlier. The earliest extant reference was contained in the U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey, Pacific Survey Military Analysis Division, Volume 65, which reviewed Japanese research and development efforts on a death ray. While not reaching the stage of practical application, research was considered sufficiently promising to warrant the expenditure of 2 million yen during the years 1940-1945. Summarizing the World War II Japanese efforts, Allied scientists concluded that a death ray apparatus might be developed that could kill unshielded human beings at a distance of 5 to 10 miles. Studies demonstrated that, for example, automobile engines could be stopped by tuned waves as early as 1943. It is therefore reasonable to suppose that this technique has been available for a great many years. Research on living organisms revealed that waves from 2 meters to 60 centimeters in length caused hemorrhage of the lungs, whereas waves shorter than 2 meters destroyed brain cells. Dr. Andrei Puharich studied the effects of radio waves on animals at Northwestern University in the late 1940s, and later founded a laboratory he called the Round Table Foundation of Electrobiology. His associate in the organization was Warren S. McCulloch of Bellevue, an early advocate of electronic brain implants, chair of conferences sponsored by the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation. Dr. Puharich was later employed at the Army's Chemical and Biological Warfare Center at Fort Detrick, Maryland, researching the effects of LSD for the CIA in 1954. He perfected the radio tooth implant, a small relay and receiver transmitter. Dr. Puharich also worked at the Permanente Research Foundation and was funded by the Sandoz Chemical Works. Dr. Alan Fry, a biophysicist at GE's Advanced Electronics Center, Cornell University, and a contractor for the Office of Naval Research, discovered in 1958 that the auditory system responds to electromagnetic energy in a portion of the radio frequency spectrum at low power densities, well below that necessary for biological damage. The human auditory system and a table radio, he said, may be 1 order of magnitude apart in sensitivity in a portion of the radio frequency spectrum. Fry proposed stimulating the nervous system without the damage caused by electrodes. He wrote 2 papers, Microwave Auditory Effect and the Applications, and Human Auditory Response to Modulated Electromagnetic Energy. Dr. Fry's work had obvious implications for covert operations. He synchronized pulse microwaves with the myocardial rhythm of a frog's heart. The heart stopped beating. Dr. Fry had perfected the induction of heart seizures by beamed electromagnetics. He microwaved cats and found that stimulation of the hypothalamus had a powerful effect on emotions. Fry found that human subjects exposed to 1310 MHz to 2982 MHz microwaves at average power densities of 0.4 to 2 milliwatts per cubic centimeter perceived auditory sounds. The peak power densities were on the order of 200 to 300 milliwatts per cubic centimeter, and the pulse repetition frequencies varied from 200 to 400 Hz. Dr. Fry referred to this auditory phenomenon as RF, or radio frequency sound. The sensation occurred instantaneously at average incident power densities well below that necessary for known biological damage, and appeared to originate from within or near the back of the head. Fry was reluctant to experiment on humans, but others, particularly paperclip scientists, were not. Dr. Ross Addy worked at UCLA and rigged the brains of lab animals to transmit to a radio receiver which shot back signals to a device that sparked any behavior desired by the researcher. Dr. Addy worked closely with émigré Nazi scientists after World War II. Addy determined that emotional states and behavior can be remotely influenced merely by placing a subject in an electromagnetic field. By directing a carrier frequency to stimulate the brain and using amplitude modulation to shape the wave to mimic a desired EEG frequency, he was able to impose a 4.5 CPS theta rhythm on his subjects and put them to sleep. Dr. Joseph Sharp and Alan Fry experimented with microwaves seeking to transmit spoken words directly into the audio cortex via a pulsed microwave analog of the speaker's sound vibration. Indeed, Fry's work in this field, dating back to 1960, gave rise to the so-called Fry effect, which is now more commonly referred to as microwave hearing. Within the Pentagon, this ability is known as artificial telepathy. Addy and others have compiled an entire library of frequencies and pulsation rates which can affect the mind and nervous system.